Buildaid Media, powered by builders and supported by Mix 93.8 FM and SA Garden and Home, are proud to bring you this Homeowner Workshop series. Throughout this 10-part series, we will be showcasing a wide variety of industry specialists to ensure a positive building experience. Uwe Schluter highlights the importance of planning from a roofing perspective, specifically how the style and roof covering choice can affect the truss design. Your host is Graham Alexander from Buildaid Media.
Uwe, welcome. Thanks for coming to chat to us here.
Thank you.
Uwe's from MiTek. Uwe, just quickly tell us, who's MiTek? What do you guys do?
Very simple. We started in 1955. We invented the actual nail plate system, which set the world going in making prefabricated roof trusses. That technology came to South Africa in '64 through MiTek. So the concept's been around for a while. And it's surprising that there's still companies out there trying to do site-made roof trusses. Because first of all, the skills are gone that used to exist to do that. And the only way to do it correctly is to use a prefabricated roof truss. MiTek don't only do we supply the components, the technology, the software, the training, the whole range that is required to make roof structures. We don't supply the public directly. We operate through licensed suppliers, such as builders or various other companies. And we're always available to provide assistance to professionals, architects, and even the public, or recommend the public to go to one of our suppliers.
Uwe, the covering on a roof, whether it's concrete tile or a metal tile or slate or something, that drives the roof truss design and obviously also the cost. And as homeowners working with an architect, and again, hopefully the architect can give you this advice or just remind him to give you the advice. These initial discussions about I want a farmhouse styled roof and that should be tin, or what are the impacts on the trusses?
The roof covering is, after all, what the roof has got to withstand. So it starts off with the covering, and then the structure is designed in accordance with that. Roof covering, even though it could be light, like metal sheeting, doesn't mean that your roof structure is going to be less expensive, because engineering principles come into play. And that means that a light roof covering is not necessarily a cheaper roof. In actual fact, in most cases, it is slightly more expensive. And doesn't make sense, so I'll keep it very short. Roofs have to withstand dead loads and live loads. That means loads that are permanent and loads that are caused by wind forces, people walking on the roof for servicing. And in the case of a lightweight roof, it will not collapse going downwards because it's so much lighter, but the wind will try and tear it off the building. So it has to withstand all those loads, and that makes it work in the opposite direction to a heavy roof, which would be a concrete tiled roof structure. In this country, it's been proven that on average, a concrete tiled roof structure is the most economical. The difference can be as little as 5% between light gauge, but if you go to other roofing materials, it can be 15-20% more expensive than a concrete tile roof.
The shape of a roof as well, or the type of roof, Uwe, and if we looked at a gable to gable, and I think everyone might understand, a gable being a triangular shape with a ridge on it, is probably your most cost effective, but you can also get very complicated roofs.
The second aspect that definitely involves the costing, you touched on it in your intro, that the two different houses, same square meters, but big costing differences. Roof structures, the most simplest of roof shapes is also the cheapest roof structure. So the RDP type of house or the barn type of house with two gable ends, not very pretty, is definitely the cheapest solution. And if you look around in the old parts of Europe, all their houses are little gable to gable boxes. Why? That was the simplest, cheapest roof. But as we advance, we want complicated shapes, very nice, like that picture there with hips, valleys, and even all sorts of other things thrown into it. And to give you an example, that just one hip, what's the difference? 30% increase in the cost of the roof structure. You add more of these in, and the facet expands. Roof shapes is one aspect that brings up the cost. As I said, hips will add 30%. Next comes the actual design or the interior of the roof shape. If you're happy with a flat ceiling everywhere, that's again a cheaper solution. If you want vaulted ceilings and all kinds of other features, which are becoming more and more popular worldwide due to our, I'm going to say, flair for more interesting rooms, but that adds cost. What I suggest is that in the early planning stage, you plan your house the way you would like it to be, but then plan it in stages. You can always, based on the budget, start with your desires, but then let them evolve. So you have a 2-bedroom house.
Uwe, onto your different truss systems.
Well, I mentioned it in the beginning. You obviously, what is not shown there, you get side-made trusses as well. I've got to put that on the cards. However, in accordance with the code, all structures need to be signed off by an engineer. And because, unfortunately, that's not always done, for various reasons I don't want to get into, but this happens. To avoid the pitfalls of having a side-made truss, which then actually was not, from an engineering point of view, adequate. And we've seen this in complaints coming in and advice that's required. Beautiful large houses, even in fancy estates, side-made. 3 years later, the roof structure is starting to give in, collapse. And often the only solution is to actually remove the whole roof structure and replace it. So I do not recommend it. If it's done, please involve a professional engineer who must inspect it. The preferred choice is to go to a proper engineered system, like what we represent, which can provide you timber or light gauge steel roof trusses. They're always certified. And that's what makes it a system, just like the other presenters said. It means that everything that is required, from the structure to the finish, to the sign-off, to the occupancy certificate, is all provided.
With regard to systems, generally the homeowner, if you have a contractor, wouldn't get involved with the ordering of the roof, etc. But you certainly need to be involved with the design. As has been mentioned, it can impact on the aesthetics, and it certainly can impact on the costs. But just quickly, the procedure would be the architect would give the drawings to one of MiTek's suppliers, and Builders Warehouse or Builders is a good example. They would then give it to the factory and the engineers to work out a price on a very, very sophisticated piece of software. Or no, piece of software. It's a design engineering software that designs the whole roof, that produces the quote, and then can be sent to the factory for fabrication. The trusses are sent to site, erected by a contractor. What happened in the past, you'd probably have a carpenter on site, you'd have a tiler putting the tiles on, you'd have a plumber doing the flashings. Within a system, it's one contractor. Gives you the price for the trusses, the tiles from Coverland, puts it up with the flashing. One stop, easy to price, easy to get the price during that tender system, so the contractor doesn't have to say, well, wait up, I still haven't got a roof price, because it takes too long to work out. It's easy to get. The benefits, Uwe, of a system.
Graham, it's exactly what you said. It starts off in that process. The benefits are that it's software driven, so the probability of making an error is to a large degree eliminated. The software we create is extremely fancy and yet user-friendly. So it's designed especially for the truss manufacturers. We have certain criterion. where they come back to us and we check certain structures that fall within those parameters, i.e. are more complex. That gives you peace of mind. The supplier then, in a complete package like that, includes all the labor aspects, everything is parceled into it, so the user or the contractor benefits out of a one supply shop scenario. Now, not every one of the MiTek suppliers offers that package, but companies like Builders certainly do, and there's a couple of others. The backup is there, so if there's any question, say like the building's finished now, 2 years later you need to do some modification, or you want to add extra weight to the structure of any kind, could be a canopy or something that gets added, there's that full design, so it can be traced all the way back. Now MiTek is ISO audited as well, so therefore that means that every step of the manufacturing design process is recorded and kept, like all engineering documents.
That's quite a truss or a beam, or how do we handle that with a prefabricated system?
It depends what you're using. It is a beam, so it can either be of laminated timber, it could be solid timber if the spans were smaller. It could be of light gauge steel, which has a higher strength factor. And if that doesn't work anymore, then it has to be of hot rolled steel. And this particular example was hot rolled steel.
Modern architecture or contemporary architecture uses a lot of glass, where your fenestration, which is a fancy word for windows and doors, links up with the roof, and the truss becomes part of the window and so on. But there are specialists out there that can handle those challenges. While I'm chatting to you, Uwe, just another point, and it relates to covering as well. With solar energy and solar geysers and so on, things are being put on top of the roof. Now, obviously, if you guys are designing the roof, your engineers, they need to know about these fittings or these mechanical devices.
It is today almost by law required. Certainly, we tell all our suppliers that you must always make allowance for a solar unit. There's people who take shortcuts and don't do it, but it does have an impact. Obviously, anything you put on the roof structure will make that structure heavier. It's also going backwards. I mentioned earlier, if you chose a lightweight sheeted roof, you cannot then change that roof later on and put concrete tiles on it. It won't work.
Thanks for joining us. If you would like to watch any more of the workshops in the Homeowner series, follow the Buildaid YouTube channel or visit our website, buildaid.co.za, where you can view a full range of our product offering. To book your seat at our next workshop, visit caxtonevents.co.za. Don't forget to tune in to Mix 93.8 FM Wednesday evenings from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. to listen to the Buildaid Show.